And we are back again with Piggyman to talk about his finals against Tezuka. Uh, this is the open rule set. I did not bring up the rule sets. Could you explain what the rules were?
Sure. Just a sec, actually. Let me open it up real quick, too.
Well, then we can race to see who gets there. This is, as always, like most of my videos, very well put together.
So the first set was level 10, same plus wall combo, so all rules, all decks, and the stipulations were as follows. Max of 1A9, max of 1A8, 8-8, sorry about that, and no 9-9-8s. And the key rule must use exactly one rare card. And so, as you see here, I used Vivi, the A42A, and Tezuka used the AA33 Idea.
Yeah. So what were you thinking with this hand construction?
Well, it started by looking at the rares that I had, which it was not that many. I think I had maybe like 6-7 choices. And so I had to just settle on one, and I liked Vivi. I thought that he seemed to have the most potential. I surmised that in this set that there's probably going to be a lot of 8s. So I figured the 4-2 might have some play.
Right.
And then I tried to find cards that worked well off of Vivi. So my 2-8-8-A, I thought, has a recapture in both 6 and 8 if I decide to play Vivi as a strong corner. Also potential for sames off the 2. I thought Cecil, the 9A 6-4, also could play off of it well. And since I knew that there was going to be rares, I knew there was going to be AAs that I had to deal with. And so I figured having like opposite side same numbers, as in my 5-7-A7 and my 7-8-7-6, could also possibly be quite useful.
So I had predicted that you and Tezuka would both run a 6-6-8-8. And I guess I was sort of right, but I was expecting it to be a corner version because I was thinking, the rares kind of tend to land in their corners, or at least threaten to, and you want to have those covered. But you instead were ready to cover them if they landed in kind of squares they're more likely to land in the mid game than kind of openers.
Yeah. And fun fact, Tezuka actually mentioned to me after the game that he was swapping his hand in card select, and the 6-8-6-8 was not originally in his hand, and it was something that he swapped into last minute or last second.
Huh. Because I haven't looked in depth at this game or anything, but it has seemed a very relevant card at the parts I've looked at.
Oh, you're gonna see just how relevant it was.
Yeah, it seemed a very, very important card here. All right. So I looked at the first move of the game, and I have some thoughts here, and I'd love to hear yours first. But it's the only move I've spent some time looking at. Otherwise, the game I'm not too familiar with.
I found this move really annoying.
Yeah, me too.
It's the fact that he has like these safe recaptures with both like Idea in 2 and like Orlando or Orlandu or however it's pronounced in 4 really was problematic. And obviously I was like, I'm not going to capture, I'm not going to go 2 or 4. I really didn't see too much, and almost every capture I have can be comboed back, usually thanks to his 6-8-6-8.
Yeah.
Very, very rude. And another thing that I was factoring in was that his Idea, AA33, like at any point he can slot that into 7. And it's almost perfectly safe, if not for the fact that I have VV 5, which really nicely sets up my 2-8-8-A in both 4 and 8. So like I was kind of like telling myself I gotta try to prep for this move somehow. So and I figured like VV is probably gonna have the least use of the cards in my hand, and so that's what I was looking to get rid of. Do you have a clue where you think I may have put it?
Oh, I did see where you put it. So
Okay.
I am familiar with your next move. So if I guessed here, I would be cheating.
Okay. So I went in 5
Yeah.
with VV.
VV in 5, which took me a little while to figure out what the point was until I saw you were really just going to cover 7. But so I looked at this position because I flipped on the solver after the move VV in 5 because I was just curious. And after the starter, because I looked at the starter for a bit and I thought, this is really annoying. I can't make like any of my strong corners. They all look uncomfortable. I don't see a way to build. I'm never getting more combo potential if I go in 5. I'm not sure whether I want the game up, down, or side to side. Maybe more up, down, but I don't like any moves in 8. I was having trouble finding a reason to make a move. And the move I ended up coming up with, well, first I checked after his move. I had the solver tell me how many of your moves tie and how many lose. And it said 34 moves tie, 6 moves lose. And I thought, this feels so much more difficult than that makes it sound. And so I thought, okay, what would I do here? And I thought for a bit, and I thought 7, 8, 7, 6, and 9. Creates a little challenge. They're only capture from 6. We have a same wall in 3, right? If they capture in 8, 6, 8, 6, 8, we have a way to combo back. Maybe we have play against stuff there. If 6, 9, A2 ever lands an 8, Cecil can take back, and that's going to be safe. It just felt like it created little challenges for them, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at that move now, and I like it so much more than what I played. It's also kind of exploiting his lack of down power besides Orlando.
And I asked Deli what he would do, and he mentioned 2 moves, and that was one of his 2 moves as well. And then I asked the solver, and it said, nope, that loses. That's one of the 6 losses.
Be for real, 7, 8, 7, 6 loses. It looks, or in 9, it looks not bad, actually.
No, it looks really, solid to me. I was really enthused with the idea, because I couldn't find a move that looked good, and then that move really spoke to me. And as I said, Deli liked the look of it too, but it just loses to Adia in 7.
Yeah, that's the most problematic move, and I felt like I had to find a solution for it.
Yeah, and I checked. I was curious. The solver showed something else cool. I didn't find this on my own. Deli found part of it on his own, but he is smart. So after Tasselhoff in 7, in 9, they go Adia 7. If we go Cecil in 4, the only winning move is 9, 5, 5, 9 in 6, so that Orlando covers VV in 8.
Wow, it's a hard find.
That is a hard find. And then Deli was like, okay, but why are you playing Cecil in 4? Start with VV in 8. And then he was like, no, wait, I saw it. Because against VV in 8, the correct move is Orlando in 2, such that 9559 covers Cecil in 4.
I think that Tezuka's hand is actually very well made. It's crazy the amount of play that the cards have with each other.
Yeah, this got me really impressed with what he had done. So I'm left with kind of 2 ideas here, given that 7, 8, 7, 6, and 9 looks like such a reasonable move. The other move Deli mentioned was Galka in 6, and I think that's a good move.
Yeah, acceptable.
Cecil has good coverage of things in 3 and 9. You have some threat to play there safely yourself at some point. I think that's a decent move.
I guess the only thing I would worry about is if I play that in 6, well, then he can play Adia in 7, because now I've lost the card that allowed me for the double combo with VV in 5.
I was thinking...
Maybe it's still...
I think you have VV in 3 there.
Just as a safe card.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a way to take Galka without being comboed.
Okay, yeah, might look reasonable.
So I thought that was one decent path, but again, this was all so much messier than it felt like it should be. My other
Yeah.
idea, and I haven't checked this with the solver, is just maybe we just need to block 7.
Yeah, could have been a thought too. I just thought that there wasn't really many good cards I could put in 7.
Yeah, agreed. It's a really weirdly difficult position. The other reason I feel sort of drawn to 7 is he doesn't have a corner for 3, so he has nothing super exciting aimed at it. And it might just show up to be a little more uncomfortable for him than it looks like at some point. But yeah, this was a weirdly tough position.
Yeah, create. Despite the fact that there's only 6 ties, it really feels like it felt hard to come up with something good here.
Yeah. I think it's one of those spots where it gives a tie count, but so many of the ties are such narrow paths, and it's just like, but it ties, it's fine. And as a human, just genuinely really tough weak corner to meet.
Yeah, I guess in chess equivalents, it would be like a sharp line, right? You got to play those exact moves.
Right, and if you're finding them on your own, it's just a nightmare, even if the computer is giving zeros.
Mm.
And you do have some playoff Phoebe. My first instinct looking at this was, but you don't have good play in 2 or 4, but you do have some play in both 6 and 8.
Yeah. I figured even if I'm not creating any combos for myself, I can probably safely go in either square at some point.
So he goes in 9 here. Now we need a move.
So this too, I thought was a troublesome move. It was it's a little difficult to capture really the idea. He's got it pretty safely recapture or on with his 9559. I did notice that my 7876 has quite a bit of play against it. But I started looking at maybe playing in 2 or 4. And the move that jumped out at me for some reason was 7876 in 4. Because I figured he only has like 2 6s and a 9 up. And if he tries to take with the 9, then I have a very nice safe square in 8. And I had the square in 2 fairly well covered. Like with whatever he played, like he can't even really go Orlando, even though that's somewhat safe, but because he doesn't recapture the card in 1.
Yeah.
So it looked logical, and obviously I regret playing it, as we'll see in a moment. But that's what I ultimately went with.
Yeah. Just looking around here, I want to play Gulka 6. Is that crazy?
What's the idea?
Anything in 8 except Orlando, I combo back. And Orlando I can take safely with Cecil.
Yeah, not bad.
That's kind of the whole idea. I don't have anything else going for it. But maybe
I think
you just get swept on the top row anyway.
Yeah, I think what if I played that in 6, it would probably give a fairly similar continuation to what happened in game.
Sure.
And we'll see with his next move, like the beautiful setup that he created for himself.
One more move I want to toss out is I'm not sure which card to do it with, but say 5-7, A7, and 8. And if 9-5, 5-9, and 6, maybe we can play Cecil in 7. With the point that if Orlando takes, it's weak to combos through 5 from 2. And the combo back from 6-8, 6-8 only flips 2 and 1. Whenever I give lines like this, I feel like I'm calculating something so tenuous I must be missing something.
Maybe, but could he just go in 3 and then his 6-8-6-8 like combos VV back in either direction? Is my instinct.
So if he goes like we go 7, he goes Orlando 3.
Yeah, would that be, or is VV captured there? Would he
Vivi's
have
his though.
the big?
Yeah, Vivi's
Okay.
his. So I think we can play Galka 2 at the end there.
Okay, yeah, never mind then. Could be promising.
Maybe. This is a really tough position. I I didn't check if this was lost or what, but this looks very difficult.
It was. It really was.
All right, so he plays a good move here, you say?
Yeah, I think it's a winning move. Unless I embarrassingly missed a tie.
God, 6-8-6-8 is gonna be so good.
That's it. And I think if I played Galka in 6, he probably would have gone in 4 and created a similar setup. But his 6-8-6-8 and in fact his 9-5-5-9 are so powerful here. They kind of counter like everything in my hand.
My first instinct here was 5-7-A7 and 8, but that just loses to 9-5-5-9 and 7. 6-8-6-8 just takes too many things.
And that's I think like most lines here is, oh, but he still has 6-8-6-8 at the end.
Do you mind if I, on the side, pop open the solver just to see if there's anything?
Yeah, go for it.
Because I put in the cards earlier, I just got distracted by the move 1 difficulty. But, I mean, from like, looking at this for half a minute, this seems very difficult to save. Meaning, I doubt there is one. Alright, so he went Adia in 9. He went 7-8-7-6 in 4. This is a loss. He only has 1 winning move, and it is Orlando in 6. Yeah.
Trust him for finding it.
Interestingly, apparently, after your move in 5, he was winning with Orlando in 6 immediately there.
He just played that in 6 instead of Adia in 9.
Yeah.
that would have been an exciting play.
Yeah. Still though, so well played by him.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I knew it was lost at this point, and so I basically just tried to find, the move that could possibly trip him up, or that had the fewest possible wins. So I decided to go 5-7-A7 in 2, because I think he does only have 1 win here, but he did indeed play it.
Huh, he has to keep 9, but I guess 9-5-5-9 now sweeps your hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Both his cards like really worked wonderfully in tandem.
Yeah. Tezuka really does well out of I think traditional formations, but also when he has combo play against 5. Yeah, really nicely played by him. Man, he just smoked people in Open this tournament.
I know, right? Undefeated.
Yeah. Alright, really nice win by Tezuka. It'll be fun to hear thoughts on his hand. I mentioned before we started, but Tezuka said this is one of his, if not his favorite open game he's ever played, both the game itself and also his hand building. And you mentioned that he had put in 6-8-6-8 during card select, that it wasn't originally the plan.
Correct.
So, yeah.
And a very fortuitous swap for him.
So, huge credit to Tezuka, and he takes a 1-0 lead. Do you have anything you want to add on this one?
Nope. I got outplayed, and I tip my hat to the better player.
Alright, so we move on to the second game. Our rule set is max 2 level 9s, level 8 and 9, closed, all normal rules in effect. Entire hand must be from only 2 decks, which must be sequentially next to each other, like FF5-6, FF13-14, etc. No rares or semis. Oh, so this will be interesting to hear about hand reads during. Because I assume you had the view cards open once you saw, the first card he played.
I did indeed, for both level 8 and 9, and I was regularly going back to them.
Nice.
As we mentioned last time, it really feels like a big disadvantage going FF4 or FF15 on this rule set because it limits your other deck to have to be FF5 or FF14. Um, and like you know me to do, I went with FF10 because it's my favorite deck.
Yep.
And I was actually gonna choose just 5 FF10 cards.
Nice.
But I thought that the Lich here, the 4299 from FF9, was actually possibly a pretty powerful card.
Nice fit with the twos.
But yeah, I guess I just went with 2 level 9s that I thought could possibly have some decent amount of play with each other. They're not opposite corners, but that's where I thought Lich kind of shored up that weakness a little bit.
And I like not being as predictable with opposite corners and closed.
That's it. I always try to mix it up in closed because the more predictable your hand is, the easier it is for your opponent to have play against it.
I also don't know how much to take from this, but I've noticed that Akiyama a lot in these kind of split level sets where you get 2 higher level cards often has them as neighboring rather than opposite corners, which I have found curious to watch.
Interesting.
Alright, so you got second turn closed, which is not ideal. And he brings another weak corner.
Yeah. So after this move, this is an FF11 card. So I started opening up the card finder and looking at FF11, FF12, and FF10 cards, knowing that that's all he could have in his hand. And I assumed that if he had this 3499, that he probably also had. I know that there's like a similar 9349 in FF12. I think it's Mont Blanc.
Yeah. Which I would have pronounced much less Frenchly.
And those cards are also used quite frequently together. So I started to surmise that he had that or something similar to it. But I wasn't sure where to go from here. You generally don't want to capture a weak corner, I think, in my opinion. And I didn't really have any kind of like interesting setups in 5. I could have maybe looked to play in 1 or 9. I admit I didn't actually look at those moves as much. But I ultimately settled on going opposite corner in 3. And I was kind of scratching my head which card to play in there. At first, I was thinking of playing the 7856, but something told me, like, in my gut, I felt that the 7856 would have a lot more play than my A862, even though it was a lower level card. So I ended up playing that one in 3.
I'm just looking around looking for combo potential and not seeing a ton. I guess 8862 could also go in 2, actually. Maybe do some neat things there.
Yeah, with the same wall off of A8259.
And I like the idea that now Lich can take anything in 4. Not that, like, hitting 4 is something second turn will do a lot out of those structures, but... Yeah, this is the thing about weak corners, is it's so hard to find synergy off them quite often.
Yeah. I have an aversion towards playing, like in this situation, like playing in 2 and in 6, like almost didn't cross my mind. Like for some reason, those feel like bad moves.
Yeah, well, it is really depressing when you go in 2 and they play like in one with a 10 down, and you're just like, oh, I lose. Great.
Yeah, exactly. It's too easy for them to have like a perfect card against you. You need to have so many like possible cards covered in the adjacent squares to it.
Yeah, I was keeping track for a little bit of how people played J structures enclosed on second turn. So like cards in 2, 5, and 7. Um, and I started calling going in 1 there the MC corner because he would really frequently gamble on whether you had it there. And did really well with it, and that got me more enthused to make that kind of gamble. Not that it's quite the same structure, but similar concept.
Sometimes gambling pays off.
Yeah. Yeah. Alright, so you go in 3. That's an FF10 card.
Yeah. This helped narrow down the amount of cards I had to look through, because now I know his 2 decks. I know that he can only have, 2 specific cards, or 2 specific decks, which helped. Here, I actually started thinking maybe he has A259, because the way that he just set up A259 for me was
Right.
quite powerful.
It is the same in 2, and it has the plus in 4. And it has double captures everywhere. Yeah. Good point.
So I started to just assume that he had that card. And I did try, looking through the rest of the cards in FF10 and FF11 and trying to figure out what cards he might have. I guess in a way I took a little gamble here myself, because I started looking at ways that I can create safety for myself. And he already played the 3-4-9-9, which is a card that can combo a 9 from 2 on 1. So I figured maybe I can try going safely 4-2-9-9 in 2. And that could possibly be a safe card. That 9 could be really difficult for him to take. I figured there's probably only one card he could have that could combo that back, and that would be the card I have, 7856. And so I kind of took a gamble thinking that he wouldn't have it, and that if he didn't, that me playing in 2 will be problematic for him.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Sorry.
Either a huge advantage, or you're walking into potentially a big combo. But maybe not that big, because it doesn't flip 3.
That's what I figured. Even if he has the combo, maybe then I can kind of slide safely into 4 and still have recaptures back with my 8259, or even just maybe block 6 with like 2878 or something. But I thought it's probably not outright lost.
My instinct in closed is like, out of these slash structures, is just never ever flip 5 no matter what, and just try to slide around it, especially if I have combo squares. So my thought, which I'm not saying is better or anything, but like my thought would be like, okay, I have a combo in 2 or 4, so I'm gonna play in 6 or 8 weak to 5, and so like 2, 8, 7, 8, and 8 looks very natural to me. 7, 8, 5, 6, and 6 looks a little less comfortable. That also has the plus in 2. I didn't realize that till now.
True.
But I like sliding. In closed, I'm all about sliding.
I would say often in these situations, I think I typically prefer to play like in 1 or 9, kind of, even if you're bluffing, even if you don't actually have combo squares in the adjacent squares, like it can trip out your opponent,
My instinct is you can't do that with such low numbers out facing, because it's just too easy for them to have sweepers in the X.
Yeah, that's why I didn't in this situation. Like the 3-4 and the 2-6, like it would be weird if he didn't have cards that couldn't recapture them.
I think it is also an underrated move in non-combo closed. because in combo, sometimes a combo, you get the X, a combo grabs an extra card somewhere. But if it can't, they really will need to have a triple capture at the end, and that can be hard.
I don't remember the last time I've played a no combo game.
I really like closed non-combo level 10 random. That's one of my go-to sets for just like have a good time. Maybe it is for me what like RE level 5 is for you.
A lot of people love the RE.
Oh. Well, at least Turds likes my set too. Gonna get petty here. So you go in 2. And he goes 6, Garuda.
Huh. Yeah. So again, after he plays this, I'm starting to surmise what his other cards might be. And one that I have in mind is a 3/9/A2, which is I think a FF11 Leviathan or something like that, because it would make a lot of sense with his current hand and the directionality that he's missing from a corner right now. So I figured now is not the right time to go A259 in a 4, because if that's the card I think he has, then I'm just done. So
Right.
it was still, possibly in my mind that he had the 7/8/5/6 and that he just didn't use it yet. I was even telling myself maybe I should block 1 here. I think, this is your chance to block 1 if you really think he still has it. And I'm truthfully a little sad that I didn't block 1. But what I had in mind here was I can set up a combo for myself by going in 8. So by going 2/8/7/8 in 8, if he does have a combo or even just a recapture, well then after I go A259 in 4, then I'll be able to combo everything back. If he can combo my card in 1, then it's a moot point. I'm lost anyway. So I was gambling that he didn't have the card I thought he did, and we'll see how that turns out.
So if he does have 7/8/5/6, and we block 1, then he can play 7/8/5/6 in 4. Where he's gonna capture whatever we put in 1. He's gonna be up 7-3. Our only move to not lose on the spot is gonna be A259 and 8, and we're gonna lose there.
Yeah.
So I do think blocking 1 at this point is just gonna be a loss.
Yeah, I felt I couldn't go there.
Starting in 4 looks really bad. I mean, my instinct is go for 8. Could you start 7/8/5/6 and 9? I mean, again, if he has 7/8/5/6, that looks terrible. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think you have to play as if he doesn't have it.
That's it, because otherwise, you just might as well say GG.
Yeah. Because it crushes every card you have here. Maybe like A259 and 9 happens to work, but you can't play a move that gives up the combo in 4, I don't think. Yeah. Alright, no, I like 8. I think 8's the best move. He shows 3/9/8.
In response, he plays the card that I did think he had, and I even messaged him after he made this move, and I told him, I'm about to be comboed to high heaven by that 7/8/5/6, aren't I? And I told him, well, at least if I lose, I'm going to give you a nice 9-1.
Nice, respect. The proper way to lose.
So sure enough, I play my A259 in 4.
Yeah.
And he has the card that I was dreading.
Well, at least it was an FF10 card that won.
That's it. Silver lining.
Man, I would have predicted, maybe it was impossible with the cards, but given his starter in the last game, And given that 943A had the same wall in 4 off his starter, I would have been looking so hard for is there a card available with a 4 left and a 10 down? Because he definitely has that if so. And there may not have been.
I'm not sure there was actually, and this is one of the interesting things about the rule set was just how small the pool of cards that were available to us were. You can, like, I don't know if it'll be in the final video, but you can see that I have 2 triple triad tabs open beside the one, and I was just constantly going back to those to check the possible cards.
Nice, yeah. I think that's the way to play these sets. I actually think this is the best way to make a closed set, is like fairly limited card selection such that reads can be made. And I don't mean limited in like lots of stips. I mean like limited in like, I really like, what I like about this set is you have a limited number of cards, or you can use like lots of different cards, but once you've locked in one, you know, your range is really narrowed. So there are many, many different hands that could be made, but also your opponent can glean information if they're paying attention. And I think that's a really good trait in a closed rule set.
Yeah, and even though I lost this quite explosively, I thought the rule set was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and second turn closed, like, you know, sometimes you're just gonna lose.
It do be like that sometimes. It's a shame that we didn't get to play the third rule set. I thought the third rule set, you know, while probably the most basic of the 3, would have been a very fun one as well.
I agree. I always wish there were more sets that were just like, let's take one of the more fun levels, and like, I think mostly everyone except Akiyama agrees level 7 is one of the great levels. In his interview, he specifically said, don't like level 7, everything combos too well with each other. But I think most of us like that. And I think just a kind of straightforward, let's take a good level and have a normal set rule set is really fun to play.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, do you have a favorite level?
I used to say 8. But I don't think I'm cool enough to say 8 anymore. You know, I had a little more pizzazz to my game then, and now I'm kind of like a little more machine. So it used to be like my top 4 were definitely 5, 7, 8, 10. And I feel like now it's got to be between 7 and 10. It's probably just 10, but I think 7's very good. And I think if 5 was a tiny bit less lame.
Yeah, they're both quite good. My favorite level is 8.
Oh, you are that cool?
Yeah. I think 8 has just the most interesting range of cards and card values. 5 is, I agree, 5 is a little lame. 4 is quite lame as well. The lower levels don't get enough love. I actually think like 2 it can be quite fun.
You know, I guess it's just a decade ago now. I put up a thread on the forums ranking the levels where like every few days I'd say the next level in my rankings. And I believe I had level 2, distant 10th.
It gets so much hate.
I think I had level 2, distant 10th. Then I think I had level 9, 9th, just to make it look like I wasn't going to have all the high levels as the high top ones. I'd have actually had it like 7th or 8th or something, but like I wanted to look balanced. And then I don't remember. Yeah. I've never liked level 2. I think one thing cool about level 8 is it's the only level besides, I guess, level 1 where like it has a unique highest possible number. Because like level 2 through 5, 7 is the highest. Level 6 and 7, 8 is the highest. Level 9 and 10, 10 is the highest. But level 8 is the only one where 9 is the highest. So you get this real variety of kind of cards that are playing against 9s and 8s that on most levels is kind of split between it and one of the levels next to it. And it creates an odd balance.
That's what I like about level 8 a lot.
Do you like level 1? Because level 1 also does that. Because I don't think there are 7s on level 1.
No 7s. There is an 8, but no 7s.
We do not count rares here.
No, yeah.
Except when the stips say you must use them. Any comments on your overall tournament? Because obviously you had like a fantastic run. You took out top tier player after top tier player until finally losing to another top tier player. I think you had an awesome run.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to have gotten to the finals. There are no bitter feelings, and it's been fun to kind of go through the games as well. Kind of has made me feel that I've been a bit more critical of my own play, and wondering how I could have made improvements or how I could play better, and maybe that helped me even get to the finals. But yeah, congratulations to Zuka.
I do feel like this made you the main character of the tournament, as it were.
Yeah, kind of.
At least
it would be fun to have an interview with Tezuka or to hear his thoughts. I don't know if that's something he would feel comfortable doing, of course, but I would love to hear other people chat you up.
Yeah, and he's someone obviously, especially right now in this moment, but also in general, would be a delight to hear from. I had some other comment that has completely evacuated my brain. You played great. Good job on the finals. Oh, I'm going to do a re-ranking series because I had my ranking the top 100. And I'm going to re-rank the top 60. And just wanted to say, you have gone up.
Wonderful. Oh, you know what? I will say one more thing, is I am happy to at least still be in contention for the best to never win.
I really thought a finals between you and Chickeny would be very funny. Because whoever loses that finals is just clearly the best to never win.
But now our rivalry continues.
Yeah. Yeah. Though he had a good tournament too, so he didn't lose much ground here.
Yeah, no, I think he's still quite a bit ahead of me for the trophy, but I'm on his heels.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. I guess that's all I got. Do you have anything else you wanna say to the crowd?
No. Enjoy doing these and keep playing TTA, friends.
Yeah, good closing message. All right, I'm gonna end the recording.
Cool.